Okay, so core product available in Azure. Once it is completed, then we will start with our SAP. Okay, so all Azure product and Azure services we will complete today, and then from tomorrow we will start on SAP part. Okay, so let's understand what are the core products available in Azure. So we have Azure Compute product, Azure Networking, Azure Storage, and Azure Marketplace. Azure Computing is nothing but contain the virtual machine. Azure Networking contain the VPN, okay, network part, firewalls, and all that. Azure Storage contain the different types of storage for storing the files. Azure Marketplace, it's like a service marketplace. Okay, SAP service marketplace place. In Azure Marketplace, you will see all the PaaS services, product as a services available in Azure Marketplace. So whatever the services available in Azure, you will see those services in Azure Marketplace. So we'll go one by one. So Azure Compute. So this Azure Compute is basically referring to your virtual machine. So as Microsoft Azure provide Azure Compute, which allow you to create a virtual machine for your need, and on that virtual machine you install operating systems, database, and SAP. So this refer to the resources that provide computing power to run your application. Azure offer both infra as a service and PaaS as a service compute product. So VM, that is compute product, is nothing but virtual machine. The virtual machine in Azure come as a infra as a service. You create a VMs in infra as a service. You install the operating systems, database, and SAP. Also, the VM comes with product as a service. Okay, in complete package, you will get the product including the VMs. Like web services, you want to implement Azure web services, so Azure has the PaaS product as a services. Okay, in that you will get automatically your VMs as well. Azure Compute products allow you to easily and dynamically allocate resources that are needed for any computing tasks. You can allocate, deallocate the resources like CPU and the memory dynamically. You can add multiple VMs. You can scale up, scale down your VMs dynamically. That is allowed. Compute in Azure Compute. You can create compute resource quickly when you need them. By using the Azure Compute resource for your computing needs, you can more easily control cost because you don't pay for the resources unless you need them. You need them. So means whatever the VMs you don't need, you can shut down those. Okay, and then you can save your cost. Okay, so that facilities is also available in Azure Compute. You can also allocate infrastructures much more quicker as compared to your on-premise world. So in on-premise, if you want to upgrade your hardware, okay, then it is a hectic task. You need a lot of approval. You need to buy the hardware. You need to shift your operating systems, database. You have to do the hardware refresh. But in Azure, in one click, you can change your hardware. That is the good thing in Azure. Some example of compute product in Azure are Azure Virtual Machine, Azure App Services, Container, and then serverless computing. So these are the example of the Azure computing. So in our case, we required Azure Virtual Machine for SAP. Azure App Services, Container, and serverless computing. It is used for different product. In our case, we'll always use Azure Virtual Machine. In SAP world, we require Azure Virtual Machine to install OS, SAP apps and database. Azure Virtual Machine provide disk, CPU and the memory as well. You attach disk, okay, CPU and the memory will come by default in the in virtual machine. You have to select your virtual machine type, okay, and then disk you have to add. So different types of disk are there. We'll see that. To create Azure virtual machine, you have to log into the Azure portal using your Azure account. You should have the Azure accounts, and then there you can go and then create the VMs. Virtual machine. So Azure has the underlying systems that constantly monitor the health of your computer's components. Okay, so in Azure, it has the underlying monitoring systems which monitor your compute component. Okay, computer component means it monitor your physical hardware. It's rack. So virtual machine. So you have, so how the virtual machine is work? So virtual machine are created on top of your physical hardware, physical servers, and then on top of that we install VMware and then we create a virtual machines. Same like in Azure, here the same funda is there. So we don't get access to the hardware. We don't get the access to the physical servers, physical component, racks. So we get only virtual machine access. So in Azure, Azure has the internal mechanisms to monitor their physical hardware. Everything, power, rack, okay, coolings, then your physical servers, okay, everything. If one of those underlying systems detect that component within the host computer might fail soon, then Azure will flag the computer for unplanned maintenance. So basically, if Azure monitoring systems notice that any component like power supply or whatever it is, physical servers might fail soon. Okay, if it has noticed some alerts and that alerts is critical, then Azure will flag for unplanned maintenance. In unplanned maintenance event, Azure will attempt to move your VM to healthy host. Okay, so in this unplanned maintenance, what Azure will do? So your VM will be moved to healthy computers automatically. Okay, automatically it will move your VMs to healthy physical servers. Okay, when it does this, it preserves the state of your VMs. So whatever the states are there for your VMs, it will preserve and then it will move, including what is there in the memory and any files that are open. So it will preserve the states and then it will move your VMs to another hardware. It only takes it only takes Azure a short time to move the VMs. Very short times it takes for moving the VMs. In case where the move operation is failed, okay, then VM will experience unexpected downtime. Then here you will get the downtime. Then SLA will start here. In order to ensure reliability when failure occurs in a rack within the Azure data centers, you can take advantage of feature called availability set. So using the availability set, you can have high availability of your VMs and your services as well. SAP and database high availability you can achieve through the availability set. Okay, so availability set is configured between the virtual machine within the data center within the data center. Any questions till now here?
No.
Okay. So if you see that we have different types of virtual machine. We have virtual machines here. Okay. Here we have the entry level A series virtual machine, which is not used in SAP, which is used for some other applications. Okay, so we have the in-memory hyper-threaded E series. We have burstable B series, compute optimized F series, storage optimized L series, memory optimized M series. Okay, different types of VMs we have. So it has name A series, E series, L series, F series, D series. Okay, general purpose series, then M series. Okay, so for ACP world, which one is used?
सर मेरे को स्क्रीन देख नहीं दिख रहा है.
अच्छा क्या बाकी को
मेरे को दिख रहा था, अभी चला गया।
ऐसा क्या ऐसे कैसे चला गया? हाँ अनशेड हो गया रे. ठीक है अभी दिख रहा है.
हाँ अभी दिख रहा है।
Okay, so we have different types of Azure virtual machine. We have entry level A series, okay, which is not in used in SAP. We have the E series, we have B series, F series, storage optimized, compute optimized, memory optimized, okay, general purpose D series, okay, memory and storage. Okay, so which one is used in SAP? So mostly we use general purpose D series, E series, and then M series. Okay, so M series is basically is used for as for HANA. Basically your HANA systems, HANA database. HANA database is always M series VM, and your application like ASCS, PAS, ERS, we go with the general purpose D series. Okay, and for Oracle, okay, for Oracle, then for IBM DB to Microsoft SQL, we go with the E series or general purpose D series. Okay, so these types of VMs we choose for SAP level. Okay, as for SAP installation. And then bare metals and containers we have. Container is not in our scopes. Okay, containers we don't use in SAP. We use the bare metal. So what is the bare metal? So this is the bare metals SAP HANA on Microsoft Azure large instance. Okay, so this VMs, if you see that it has the limitation, it has the limitations in terms of your memory. I don't know what is the exact limitations. For example, the VMs, the memory optimized means it is the high, memory. The VMs are there in M series. For example, the highest M series VMs is around 8 TB. Okay, so XYZ M series VMs are there which support 8 TB of RAM. Now your requirement is more than 8 TB, like 12 TB. Then there is no any VMs which support 12 TB of VMs. So in that case, you will go with bare metal. Okay, bare metal SAP HANA. Okay, on Microsoft Azure Microsoft, we call large instance. So large instance means it has the dedicated VMs, dedicated hardware. So you will get a dedicated hardware. Okay, it is a physical servers. So this is the virtual machines. Here you will get a physical servers. Okay, of your requirement for your requirement 12 TB something whatever it is. Okay, so this is the physical servers we call bare metal SAP HANA database, which we call large instance. Okay, so this is the physical servers and this is the virtual servers. Okay, so there is a SAP note is there. Okay, so which talk about the VMs are supported. So this is the SAP note 1928533. Always refer the latest SAP note which talk about supported product and supported VM types for your SAP and your database. So if you see These are the supported operating system. We'll see this in coming sessions. Okay. So if you go below, you will see the VM supported Azure VM types for SAP product on Windows and Linux. So these all are the okay for non HANA database platform. The following Azure VMs types okay are supported in 2 tiers, 3 tiers configuration. Means this is the following. This following VMs is for non HANA database. Okay, for non HANA database. If you have the IBM DB2 oracles, then you can use these VMs. Okay, for A and D series VMs, SAP database files can be stored on a standard storage or highly quality storage types. All other VM series are not supported for with SAP database files. Okay, so I'll talk about this storage coming sessions. So this is the VMs. So A series VMs it is not supported. Basically, if you see here from A8 to A11 VMs are planned for retirement. So this A series will retire from A8 to A11. So this VMs will retire. Okay, this VMs is also retired. So you can use the A series as well. This is the small VMs if you see that. Okay. Okay, A series standard A5, standard A6, standard A7. Okay, but if you use, then might be that these types of VM SAP will retire. Okay, because if A8 and A10, 11 is retired, then might be that SAP will retire this VM as well. Okay, so 2 CPU, for example, if you go with the standard A5, you will get 2 virtual CPU and then 14 GB of RAM. And then SAPs you will get 1500. Okay, so these types of VMs is supported for your ASCS, ERS. Okay, where you have the less workload. Okay, so we don't go with the A series. Okay, so basically we go with the D series. Okay, so D series VM, if you see that, this is the D series from here. Standard D11, standard D12. Okay, so 4 virtual CPU, 28 GB of RAM. So different types of D series we have. Then here again DS series. Okay, so always refer the latest SAP nodes. So as per your requirement, for example, you do the sizing, and then as per the sizing, you require the 4 virtual machine, 4 virtual CPU, and 16 GB of RAM. That is your requirement for your apps. Then you will look for here. My requirement is 4 GB, 4 CPU. Okay, so here is the 4 CPU is there. Okay, and then 16 GB of memory I need. So here 16 GB is there. Okay, and then you can choose this one. Also, you can refer your SAPs if you don't have these informations. You have the SAPs, you calculated SAPs. If you have the requirement at 15,000 SAPs, you calculated and it's required for your VMs. So you look for the SAPs which contain the 50,000. So this one is you can consider it is 17,000. You look for another one 12,000 not will not work. Okay, then 18,000 will work. Okay, so look for exact if you get a 15,000 SAPs. Okay, then select that one. Okay, 135 SAPs, 12, 25, 48. So as per your requirement, based on your calculations, you can choose the your VMs. So if you see here, this E series. In E series, this types of VMs is basically we use for the Oracle DB2. Okay, and then yeah, this is if you see that memory is high, little higher. Okay, as compared to D series. So here also we have the D series SV version. Okay, 4. Okay, so whatever the requirement you have, you can go with this one. If you go below, then here you will get the M series. M series is basically for HANA. Okay, we use the M series for the HANA. And then if you go below, it will mention that some of the VMs will not support it. Imported VM types listed in the following tables are not designed to use Azure Premium Storage. These VMs types are supported for SAP Network ASCS, SAP Network Applications Direct. So this below VMs you can use for the ASCS and then ERS or PAS. Okay. like this. So, but if you see that it says that the below VMs tables are not designed to use Azure Premium Storage. So in SAP, we use the Azure Premium Storage. If you want to use the standard storage, so you can use this for non-productions. If you see the no SAP database instance support. Okay, so I will talk more in detail for storage. Okay, so basically in SAP, okay, whether it is just non-production or production, we go with the premium storage. If your VMs are not supporting the premium storage, then we are not considering those VMs. So these all VMs is not supporting the premium storage. So we will not consider this for SAP. Okay. So SAP says that you can use the below for ASCS, ERS, and then dialog instance or PaaS. Okay. But as per recommendation, we always use the premium storage. Okay. Fine. Okay, fine. Any questions here? Okay, fine. Networking product. Azure networking product. So in this section, we have virtual network, load balancer, application gateway, VPN gateway. The virtual network we call VNet basically. So it's related to the networking. Okay, the security, the network people will come into the pictures. So they will take care of all these things. But as a basis, we need to understand the Azure network as well. Azure Virtual Networks. So Azure Virtual Network called VNet allow Azure services to communicate with each other and with internet. You can use VNet to communicate between your on-premise resource and your Azure resource. When you create a virtual machine, Azure create a VNet for you by default. Without that VNet, you weren't able to remote into the VMs, or you won't able to use the your application. So you will not able to connect to your VMs without the VNet. VNet contain what? IP address. Okay, so you need a IP address. When you create a VMs, the IP address is automatically assigned to your the VMs. Okay, and then you use that VM through the IP address. You can also create your own VNet, configure it in way whatever you choose. So as per your recommendations, you can create your own VMs. So this VNet contain the network interface card NIC and then IP address. You can break up your VNet into the multiple subnets, set up portion of your networks. So you can divide your virtual network into the subnet, like subnet 1 for applications, subnet for database, subnet for your some other applications. Okay, you can have the different subnet 10.0.10, then 2.0, then 3.0. Like this, you can define. So you can have one subnet for your database, one subnet for your ACS, ERS, and another subnet for your application like this. Okay, you can divide your subnet. Okay, so that is the VNet. What is the Azure Load Balancer? So basically, Azure Load Balancer, the route your request into the web tier. So it is the same like SAP Web Dispatchers. So what a load balancer does? Okay, so the load balancer basically divert your request to the available VMs. Okay, so using the rules, so you access the Azure Load Balancer IP address. Okay, and then whatever the VMs services are available, those you will get access. So the Azure Load Balancer basically is used if you don't want downtime. For example, you have the primary application servers. Here you have the additional application servers. Here you have the additional application servers, and then here you have the message servers. Okay, so Azure Load Balancer will connect to the message servers. Okay, and then message server, through message server you will be connecting to your VMs. Okay, so when you connect from the SAP GUI, There you will put Azure Load Balancer IP address. This will connect to your message servers, and then through the message servers, it will direct to the your applications. If any of the application is down, then you have other application servers. So this is the how the Azure Load Balancer is work. If you have high availability, if you have the multiple application servers and you want to connect to those application, then you should have the Azure Load Balancers. The Azure Load Balancers, you have the Azure teams configured for your message servers. The Azure Load Balancer virtual host name and then virtual IP address will point to the your message servers ACS instance. Okay, and then you will get availability of your servers. Okay, so we have basically we have the internal Azure Load Balancer and then standard Azure Load Balancers. So in SAP for the HA environment, if you want to use high availability, then we use the Azure standard load balancers. Then Azure application gateway. So using the Azure load balancer for the web tier, it is perfectly suitable solution. So basically, in other words, so this is different types of Azure load balancer are there. Okay, so this is one of the Azure load balancer is the standard Azure load balancers, which we can use for SAP GUI connections. And another is the you can also have your Fury systems. Okay, as for HANA Fury systems, that also you want to route through the load balancers. So in that case, you will be having application gateway, Azure application gateway. So through the Azure application gateway, you can redirect your request to the Azure load balancers. So this Azure application gateway. So basically what is the Azure application gateway? Basically, if you want to access your Fury, okay, your Fury that which is the web base through internal network, then it will go through like this. Okay, whether it is HTTP or WebGI connections, it will go from here internal. If you want to access those from the outside to the internet, you want to access your Fury apps to the internet over the internet, then in that case, application gateway firewall will come into the pictures. So application gateway firewall allow you to access your define the port and then IP address through the internet. Okay, so in this Azure application gateway, we have the web application firewall, WAF we call. So using the WAF, you can allow outsider to access your applications like Fury systems. Okay, in the web application firewall, the Azure team, they define which port they want to open, which IP address they want to open for internet world. Okay, using this, you can access your Furies from your laptop and mobiles or your any devices through the internet. Then, this is the Azure Web Application Firewalls. Okay. Then Azure Firewalls basically which protect your networks. Okay, from unauthorized access. Okay, so whatever is defined in the firewalls, it will allow those access to the users. So network firewalls will come into here. So these all topics are related to the infrastructures networking team. Then we have the VPN gateway. The VPN gateway is very important for us. Okay, in case of migrations, in case of press implementations. Okay, so different types of VPN gateways are there. Okay, in Azure. Okay, which connect your on-premise network with your Azure network. Okay, so we have side-to-side VPN, which we call S2S, then P2S, that is the point to site, and then VNet to VNet. Side-to-side VPN is basically connect your on-premise network over the internet. Okay, so connect your VNet to single on-premise locations. Required VPN with the public facing IP address on-premise, multiple site variants. Okay. So VPN, so it's same like the VPN, okay, which work on the IPsec protocols. Okay, so which allow you to connect your on-premise with Azure, the network. Here you need a public IP address, okay, on your on-premise. Then point to site, P2S. So basically, which will connect the specific on-premise client PC to your Azure. Okay. So like if you are working from remote, like we are working from remote, work from home. Okay. And you want to connect to your Azure network, then you can use P2S. Then here you need a VPN client installed in your laptop or desktops. Then you authenticate using the VPN clients. You get connected to the your Azure network. Okay, so multiple people can connect from anywhere to the internet. In this case, point to in the P2S, point to site. And then VNet to VNet means you can connect to Azure VNet. Okay, so you between the regions, so you have one VNet in one regions, another VNet in another regions. So you can connect VNet to VNet. So we call VNet peering. So you can do the VNet peerings between two Azure regions, or also you can do the VNet pairings within the Azure regions, between the regions or within the Azure regions you can do. Also, you can do the VNet from Azure virtual network to your on-premise VNet networks. Okay, that is also possible. So these are the different types of gateway available which connect you to your Azure network. Any questions here till now?
No, sir.
ठीक है
यहाँ पर देखोगे example VPN gateway. Here we have the Azure network, East US. We have the VPN gateway, and then this is the example of the this one first one, site to site VPN. Here you have the public IP address of your Azure. Here you have the public IP address of your on-premise, and you are connecting to the VPN tunnels using the IPsec protocols over the internet. Okay, so this basically having the low bandwidth. Okay, so these types of connections we use basically for non-productions. Okay, okay, so this is not advisable to use the VPN, gateway VPN, site to site. Okay, because it has the low bandwidth. If you have the budget problems, okay, so then you can use this one. Okay, it is advisable to use this one. It's all depends upon the customer costings. Okay, so it is to the uh, to the IP address. Okay. Then so VPN gateway basically connect your data center to your Azure. Okay, and then connect your Azure virtual network from anywhere. So using the point to site VPN, the first one, this is the one which connect your corporate networks to Azure. The second one, which connect your Azure virtual network from anywhere using the VPN clients. Okay. What is the VNet pairing? So VNet pairings, as I told that it is used to pair your two virtual networks. Okay, we have virtual network pairings which connect virtual network within the same Azure regions, and then we have the global VNet, that is we call a global virtual network pairing which connect to virtual the VNet across the Azure regions. Okay, so benefits of using the virtual network pairing, so low latency, high bandwidth connection between resources in the different virtual networks, ability for resource in one virtual network to communicate with resource in different virtual networks. Okay, if you do the pairings, then the resource in one VNet can communicate to the other resources in another VNet. Okay, so that purpose we do the VNet pairing. You can transfer the data between two virtual networks across the Azure subscriptions. You can use VNet peering to establish the communication between two Azure VNet in the same region. You can use the global VNet pairings to connect VNets in different Azure regions. So if you see, this is the example for VNet pairing. Here, the one VNet in Azure, another VNet, another VNet. So you can peers. Okay, you establish the peering VNet pairings. Also, the using the VPN gateway. Each VNet has the VPN gateway. Using this VPN gateway, you can do the peering. Also, this VPN gateway is used to connect or peer with your on-premise VNet. Okay, so a lot of things are there to the in the networking. Okay. Express Azure Express route. It is also part of your networks. So what is the Azure Express route? So basically, Azure Express route is a dedicated private networks. So this is not a dedicated. Okay, if you see that this is not a dedicated, so it has the low bandwidth. Low bandwidth means it is a side-to-side VPN. So the VPN also go through the over internet. Okay, but another is Azure Express route is there, which is dedicated private networks. It is a fiber connections to the Azure. Okay, it is a private connection to Azure, low latency, the connect direct to your corporate networks, increase reliability and the speed, bandwidth up to the 100 GB supported. Up to 100 GB per second, you can have the bandwidth. It connect your on-premise network.
Sir, I'm unable to hear you.
Yeah. Now,
Yes,
is
now.
it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's fine.
Screen is also visible, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's fine.
Yes.
Okay, so this Azure Express route where we use in the migration. If you are migrating your on-premise SAP systems to Azure, then in that case we use the express route. Okay, so if you have the bandwidth up to 100 GB per second, your database size is 1 TB in Azure in the on-premise. You took the export and now you want to import. Okay, you want to import into the Azure. Then you have to either do the parallel export import or you transfer your export from on-premise to Azure network. Okay, if you have the bandwidth of 100 GB per second and your export size is 1 TB, then how much time it will take to copy 1 TB using the 100 Mbps? 1024 TB. Okay, sorry. 1024 divided by 100. So it will take 10 seconds. 10 to 11 seconds it will take to transfer 1 TB using 100 GB per seconds. Okay, in the 10 seconds it will transfer your 1 TB from on-premise to Azure. So mostly this express route we use in the migration project. Okay, so it has 10 TB, 10 GB per second as well. But if you don't want to use your VPN IPsec, then you can use the express route after your migration as well with a low speed. Okay, like this. So if you see, it express route circuit is there, express route which connect your on-premise, which connect your basically your data center to your Azure network. Okay, so if you see here, we have the different service providers. So if you want to use express route connectivity, so security team they connect with they have different types of connections are there. Okay, so we have the cloud exchange, co-locations, point-to-point Ethernet connections, any to any connections, and then direct. If you go with these three, any of these, then service provider model is there. So Azure has their own service provider models. You can contact those service provider models. Okay, and then you can establish the communications between your data center and then Azure. Direct module is also there. No need of service provider. You can, if you can directly connect the network with Azure using the Express Route site. Okay, direct modules like this. So co-located at Cloud Exchange. If you are co-located in the facility where Cloud Exchange, you can order virtual cross connections to the Microsoft Cloud to the co-located. Okay, so these all are the related to the networks. Okay, so network people know these all things better as compared to us. Okay, so it doesn't matter for us which one they are using. Okay, we need a bandwidth. Okay, so in the migration project, we always go with the express route. Whatever the method they want to use, they can use. Okay, but we need a good bandwidth so that we can transfer the data. So using the express route, you can extend the LAN to the Azure. You can extend your corporate network to Azure. So using the express route, you can access the Azure systems through your corporate networks only, not from the outside. Okay, so connectivity providers are there. So if you don't have any, Azure connectivity providers, you're using your own, some connectivity internet provider, which is not part of your Azure connectivity partners. Then in that case, you can also connect your corporate network with, Azure. Okay, a lot of things are there. So if you see the pricing, okay, so we have 50 Mbps, 100 Mbps, 200 Mbps, 500 Mbps, 1 GB, 2 GB, 5 GB, 10 GB. Okay, so this is the express out circuit meter data plan. So meter data plans. So you will get, for example, if you buy with circuit plan like 550 MB per seconds, then the price is this one, monthly price. This is the monthly price. Then this is a premium price. Inbound data transfer, unlimited. Outbound data transfer, none. Okay, so yeah, so here if you see unlimited inbound data transfer. So inbound data transfer, okay, so means data is coming in the Azure. Outbound means data is coming from outside the Azure. Data coming inside the Azure, no charges. If you want to copy the data from Azure to on-premise, then there is some charges. Okay, nominal charges are there. So if you see that Express Out Gateway, here we have the standard VPN, high performance VNet, ultra performance VNet. So this is the size charges. Okay, and then this is the bandwidth. Okay, so things are different. Okay, so if you add your private network from your corporate network to cloud, then you can use Azure Express Route. So basically, Azure Express Route, which connect your on-premise data center to Azure. Okay, connects business office, retail locations, site security, whatever it is, you can use the Azure Virtual WAN. Secure use of internet to access Azure Virtual Network, you can use the Azure VPN gateway. So as of now, you will not able to understand, even I'm not able to understand all these things. Okay, so this part is related to networks. Okay, so yeah, so this diagram will understand you better. So here we have the Azure. Okay, Azure VNet. Okay, for example, in simple layman language, if you want to connect your headquarters or data centers to Azure, then always go with the express route. If you have the branches, office branches or retail shop, okay, then in that case you can go with the side-to-side VPN. Okay, so branch 1 side-to-side VPN, branch 2 side-to-side VPNs, branch 3 side-to-side VPNs. So you will see the lot of load here, express route. Okay, you will be transferring the data from your on-premise data centers to your Azure network. So here we need a good bandwidth. And here the people will be using the SAP systems. They will connect to SAP system, they will do some transactions. Okay, so they can go with the side to side VPN. We can allow them to connect side to side. Express route, we cannot have the here because it is very costly. Side to side VPN, if you have the multiple the branches, okay, either you can connect these multiple branches to your headquarters or data centers, and or you route these all branches from here data center express route to like this. In that case, you will get more traffic here. It's all depends upon how they configure. You can also use the point to side VPNs for the remote users, okay, which are site engineers working from the site. If they want to access the servers, they can connect to the VPN clients. Okay, they will come to the virtual WAN, and then from where they can get access to the servers. Any questions here till now?
No, sir.
Okay, so prerequisites, network prerequisites. So you cannot have your database and applications. Some of the you cannot split your application and database between on-premise and Azure. Both should be either reside either on on-premise or on Azure. Okay, so location of the Azure data centers or regions or relatively to your own data centers can impact the latency. So basically, so which Azure region you have to choose. Okay, so you have to choose the Azure region which is closest to your data centers. If you choose the your Azure region which is which is far from your the data centers, then definitely there is a latency issues. Okay, but if you choose the data center, your Azure region which is near to very far, very near to your data centers, then the network latency will be less. So you have to choose accordingly your regions which are closer to your data centers. Okay.
Sir, here I have one question.
बोलो.
डेटा सेंटर एक्चुअली एजियोर पे तो हम लोग पूरा माइग्रेट कर रहे हैं, तो डेटा सेंटर मतलब आप बोल रहे हैं जिधर से हम लोग एक्सेस कर रहे हैं सर्वर को.
नहीं, डेटा सेंटर बोले तो तुम्हारा कंपनी का डेटा सेंटर जहाँ पर सर्वर तुमको माइग्रेट करना है.
ओके ओके
ओके, तुमको माइग्रेट फॉर एग्जांपल माइग्रेट करना है. तुम्हारा अभी सर्वर कहाँ पड़ा है? डेटा सेंटर में पड़ा है, प्राइवेट डेटा सेंटर में.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा.
And then you want to migrate those to your Azure. So in that case, you have to use the express route for transferring your export import. Okay, also you choose the Azure region which is near to your data center. Okay, so which will reduce the latency. Okay.
Got it.
Also, if okay, so also you can accelerate your networkings. Okay, so you have the VMs in the Azure. Okay, and that VMs, so many VMs are supported, accelerated networkings. So if you enable the accelerated networkings, then your performance will be boost. Your application database performance will boost. Okay, so most of the VMs has the facility like accelerated networking. So whenever you create a VM, okay, you ask your infra team to enable accelerated networking, which will boost the network performance and then response, system response. Okay, so these are the prerequisites. You can say that. Azure storage product. So we have the different types of storage product in the Azure. Okay, like we have the Azure Blob, basically which is we use to store the text and the binary data. In SAP world, we use to store the database backup. Azure Blob is the storage type. Azure Files, basically, which store the files, okay, any types of files in SAP, we use this for the interface. If you want to store some interface files, then we can use the Azure files. Azure queues, it is used for the messaging queues. Okay, queue messagings. Okay, in the PIs, for example, if you are using Azure queues, okay, some other product, some SAP product are there which use the queues. Some queues are there, messaging queues. So in that case, you can use the Azure queues. Azure tables, which is the NoSQL store schema-less storage of the structures data. So Azure tables, we don't use the Azure tables. It is a so in the storage product, Azure storage product, these types of all storage will come. So Azure tables means you get the tables, okay, but in that you won't have the schemas. It is a schema-less tables. Then Azure disk, block level storage volumes for Azure VMs. Okay, so we have the Azure disk as well. Okay, which is used in Azure VMs. Okay, so in basically in SAP worlds we use Azure blobs, Azure files. Okay, as per the requirement, but to create a storage account, it will charge. Okay, so if you have the backup and requirements, backup and recovery, then we use the third-party tools. If that is the case, third-party tool you are using, then Azure blob will not come into the pictures. For Azure files, okay, for your interfaces, you are using the NFS services. Okay, then in that case also Azure files will not come into the pictures. Okay, so none will be used in SAP. Okay, so yeah, so if you use Commvault backup tools, then Azure blob will not come into the pictures. If you use the NFS services, NFS file systems for storing the interfaces files, then this also will not come into the pictures. So in rare cases, we use the Azure storage product in SAP Vault. Okay, like this. Azure Marketplace, if you see that popular apps category, virtual machine images. So we have the virtual machine images as well. Okay, so like Windows 2008, 2019, like this. Then SUSE Linux, Red Hat Linux, Ubuntu, different types of Windows XP, whatever it is. So we have the images. So you can use those virtual machine images, and in a seconds you can build your systems. Networking, we have, okay, we have the software as a service SaaS product. Okay, then database, SQL database, blockchains, then securities. A lot of things are there in the Azure Marketplace. So whatever things you want to use, storage. This is the storage account. This is this one, Azure storage product. If you want to use, you have to create the storage account from the Azure Marketplace. Okay, so these are the product as a service. These are the software as a service. So infra as a service will not come in the Azure Marketplace. Okay, so whatever product as a service, software as a service, those will be there in Azure Marketplace. That's it for today. Any questions till now? From tomorrow, we'll see the Azure Service Level Agreement.
Okay.
Okay. तो कल थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा, VMs का SLA कैसा रहता है, ओके, क्या क्या रहता है, वो थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा. सो उसके बाद अपना आ जाएगा लेटेंसी बिटवीन SAP डेटाबेस, तो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट सपोर्ट मॉड्यूल्स, देन SAP ऑन माइक्रोसॉफ्ट अजूर सपोर्टेड प्रीरिक्विजिट. यहाँ से थोड़ा अपना SAP का चालू हो जाएगा फिर. ओके, तो बहुत बाकी है अभी, तो देखने तो बहुत है, बहुत है. देख रहे हो यहाँ पर कितना चीज है इसके अंदर. एग्जाम्पल है कैसा साइजिंग करना है तुमको, कैसा डिसाइड करना है कौन सा डिस्क यूज करना है, क्या यूज करना है, प्रोडक्ट वेम्स. ओके, अवेलेबिलिटी सेट कैसा रहेगा तुम्हारा, जोन कैसा रहेगा, HDR कंसिडरेशन क्या करोगे तुम HDR के टाइम पे, ओरेकल रहेगा तो क्या यूज करना है, MS SQL रहेगा तो क्या यूज करना है, DB2 रहेगा तो क्या, साइबस रहेगा तो क्या, लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स है इसके अंदर. ओके, सो स्टॉप करते हैं यहाँ पर. सो टोटल PPT 1 से 67 PPT है, और हमने अभी तक कंप्लीट कितना किया है, हमने अभी तक 72 क्रिएट खत्म किया, अभी 50% और पीपीटी बाकी है। ओके ठीक है, सो विल डिस्कनेक्ट, विल मीट टुमारो सेम टाइम। ओके
ठीक है
चलो बाय।
बाय।